Hey there everyone, and welcome to this 5th episode of JavaScript ES6 and Beyond tutorial series. In this video, we will see what is inheritance and shadowing in JavaScript classes. Inheritance in JavaScript is not a new concept. We were able to implement inheritance using prototype in the previous versions of JavaScript. But those methods were not so programmer friendly, as programmers who worked in different languages which were object oriented does not have the same way of inheritance in those languages, and that's why they get angry about JavaScript. But sooner in ES6, JavaScript realized that they need the more streamlined way of implementing inheritance. The concept of classes was introduced with ES6. With this, now you can implement inheritance using classes. To understand inheritance in ES6, I have created a folder #4 inside our JavaScript ES6 folder. So now let's create a file and name it index.js. Inside this file, let's create a class and name it shape and create a constructor which takes a color as an input parameter and which makes this.color is equals to color. Now let's have a method which is, for instance, getColor method, which will simply print the color of the object, and which actually is done by a console.log statement and not the print which I used. So simply this.color is logged to our console. Now let's create a class for a shape which will inherit the property from the shape class. We can have a rectangle which is also a shape, and thus it can, like for real world, inherit the property of a shape. So to inherit a class inside another class, what we do is we use the extend keyword. So we say class rectangle extends class shape, and now I didn't use the class keyword here, it was just to make you understand that shape is actually a class. Now we call the constructor for this rectangle class, and it will have 3 parameters: color, a width for instance, and a height. Now in this constructor, if we want to call the constructor of the superclass, which is this constructor color, then we have to use the command use the method super and color as the arguments as the parameters to that function. Now we can say this dot width is equals to the width, and this dot height is equals to height. Now that our variables are set up, we can have a method, let's say get area, which prints the area of our rectangle, and which is simply this dot width star this dot height. Now that our classes are set up, rectangle class is extending the shape, which is rectangle is inheriting properties from the shape class. We can create an object for our rectangle. Let's say let rect is equals to a new rectangle object which takes 3 parameters: the color, which will be red, a width, let's say 40, and a height, let's say 50. And then we call the methods like rect.getArea and rect.getColor. Notice how getColor is not a method inside our rectangle class, but we call it and it will still work because shape actually gives and lets rectangle inherit the properties, the methods from the shape class. So if we save this file and go to a terminal and run node space index.js, you'll see it prints 2000 and red, which is what we asked for here. Now notice a very important thing about this super method. If we call this super method after this.width and this.height, we'll see that our program prints an error. It says super constructor in a derived class must be called before accessing this. So basically, if we access our this keyword and then we call our super method, this code gets a little bit confused, and thus we have to always call the super method before accessing the this inside the class which is inheriting properties from the superclass. Now let's understand shadowing, which basically means to shadow the properties or basically the function, the method from the superclass. Now consider we have this getColor method in the shape and we want a separate getColor method for our rectangle. For instance, we can have a method which prints, for instance, we are printing red in here, we are just printing the color. It says red is the color of rectangle. We want to print this sentence with our getColor method. So what we basically do is that we simply create a method inside our subclass and ask it to print basically log this dot color plus, let's say, is the color of rectangle. Now if you save this file and go to your terminal and run this file nodespace-index.js, you'll see it runs the method which is inside our subclass and not our superclass. And the this.color method, this.color is still approachable, still accessible to our rectangle class. Also, our getColor method of shape is not touched. You can understand it by creating an object for our shape, and let's say give it a small h, new shape, and we pass a color blue, and we say okay, shape dot getColor. Okay, and if we run this file, you'll see the blue is printed, which means our main method inside the class shape is untouched. So guys, this is pretty much it for this video. We'll understand more about classes in the upcoming videos. If you have not subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe and hit the bell icon. Also like this video and share it to your peers. And as always, thanks for watching.